This episode is brought to you by Explore St. Louis. Explore St. Louis is your source for all things to do, to eat, to see, to experience in the city under the arch. From Michelin star restaurants to affordable boutique hotels and more, ExploreSTL.com is your co-pilot when visiting the 314. Today, let's talk some Blues hockey with a true in-the-weeds soccer dad to boot. Chris Kerber. As the radio voice of the Blues for over 25 years, he's seen a lot, including our franchise's first and only Stanley Cup victory. We talk all things hockey and break down some suggested improvements for youth, CYC, and club soccer. It was a blast. Enjoy, and let's go. What's up, boys?
Howdy.
Hello. You know, it's calm.
That was pretty unemphatic there.
Listen, I got to say, I did not drink a second cup of coffee today, but
What's that?
I took a First Form energy drink.
Well, we should have talked about this offline. Are they a sponsor? Or are you just
They're not, but I'm
informing
pushing
us?
for one. They are a local company, so
Yeah, that big warehouse is right there, 44.
right there.
The old Chrysler plant
That's
land
right. That's right.
next to Wally's.
Why did you bring it up?
Because you guys always give me shit about my energy level at 5 o'clock after I've been working all day. And so I decided to try something different. I didn't really want coffee because it's 99 degrees outside.
Based on the way you came out of the gate, I'm saying it's working.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
You feel like you got energy today?
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you run out of Nugenics?
It's one of those days.
Yeah, fresh out.
New episode, Soccer Dad Pod. We're back. We are. Let's see here. This will drop early August. We're approaching fall season, boys. It's literally upon us.
Yeah, I mean, for us as a family, things are already starting to happen, and there's a couple camps still going on this week, and then next week there's some volunteer stuff going on, and then training starts on the 5th for our boys at Gallagher, and then the 16th or the 9th at City. So, I mean, things are moving.
Well, we're the 5th.
Oh,
we're on the 5th too. So, hey, I'm leading us in today. A little new music Monday. We're recording on a Monday.
Oh.
Evan Honer. This one was brought to me by Beckett. He's now, ever since Zach Bryan kind of got into his bloodstream, he thinks he's like country. Like
Does he?
Oh yeah. You know what he asked me for today on the ride home from Innsbruck that he wanted to buy?
No.
Boots.
Boots.
Well,
I'm like, you don't even own jeans, dude.
No.
What are you going to wear them with?
so here's
You
the deal,
culture
though.
vulture.
So, Zach Bryan's one type of country. Luke Bryan's another one. Grady went to his first ever like big concert last night, and he went to Luke Bryan.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Do you have boots?" I'm like, "No, I don't have boots."
You're from Washington.
So what?
Why do you not have boots?
I didn't grow
He's
up
got
on the other
mutters.
side of the river. I grew up on the
Hey,
south side of the river.
Well, here's what I want to say. This is going to tie into one of our favorite supporters of the show, Explore St. Louis. It's where I've told you guys, ExploreSTL.com. You don't know what to do. You want to be a local. You want to go eat, drink, hang out, do all that stuff. Explore STL is your cheat sheet. Evan Honer will be playing at Old Rock House on October 9th.
Ooh.
You better get those boots for Beckett.
No,
before
but
that date.
no, I brought it up because, we talk about music a lot on this show. We talk about Zach Bryan and all these big shows. And I mean, you went to George Strait, right? And that's an OG.
Yep.
You spent $7,000 a ticket for that. I spent slightly less, like $500 for Zach Bryan. Actually, I didn't. I got him a lot cheaper than that. But
free.
this is a show. This is the kind of stuff back in the day you go where you could still go see rock and roll, right? Cheap, $5, $10, $15. I think it's like $15, $20.
Well, Charlie
ticket.
Crockett's coming if this drops before
Yes,
the 1st.
it won't. August 1st. You will be listening to this after that. Yeah.
I'm going, I think.
Yeah, we're all
$10 cowboy.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go, man.
$1 cowboy.
So anyway, thank you, ExploreSTL.com and crew for supporting the show, and also Crescent Plumbing Supply, 6614 Olive, new showroom. We're actually heading up there. Kim's like, I'm going to go take a peek. I'm like, sweet, that sounds expensive.
Can you put a
And it's actually-
sold sign on the bidet?
Yeah, you know I'm going to market. I'm just going to take in a bunch of Soccer Dad Pod stickers and just tag the shit out of it.
By the way,
So it's unsellable.
my sister went to Amsterdam Tavern yesterday to watch the women's national team play.
Did she? How was the crowd? Did she
It
say?
was great. And she was there with a friend of ours, Alan, a friend of the show, and they had a drinking game. The drinking game was anytime you found a Soccer Dad Pod sticker, you had to take a drink. She could barely talk at the end of the night.
Well, yeah. Dude, start with ultras. Sorry, Matt. I'll clean those up later. Anyway, new episode here today. Looking forward to today's guest. A lot of insight coming down the pipe. We're gonna talk all about those soccer parents and their nuances and more. But before we get into our guest, we need to talk about our Your Name Here points of the day. Zach,
I'll
given
go.
your first form energy drink, you seem prepared.
Well, it's just the Olympics are on, right? And I've been watching a lot of that.
I heard about it.
And-
I've been brushing up on my Greek mythology due to the Olympics.
Oh, boy. That's going to be a fun topic off the mic.
That's going to go on the mic, 'cause that's my point.
Oh, my God. I can't wait to counter it. So I think what I found interesting is handball.
Did you find it interesting or
I did.
dumb?
I think I think we
did
should
you
do
mix
it.
your
I
words
think
up
the
there?
three of us, maybe our guest and a couple others, I think we got a pretty good shot. I don't think the Team America has a team for handball, so I think we got a potential there.
In the actual Olympics or the
Sure.
Special Olympics?
I feel like handball in the Olympics is like the movie Basketball.
Yes.
Who made that up? I mean, is that the most awful
It's a
thing
very
to watch
European
ever?
sport.
For what? People that can't afford a soccer ball?
People that really like soccer and basketball but couldn't play either, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to demean the handball athletes, but
But you just did.
I just did, I think. It's just an interesting sport.
It is very interesting. I saw it and I had to watch it. I did a double take and I'm just like, this doesn't look that great to me or that hard.
Well, I think that about curling, though. That's going to piss off some people, I'm sure.
Wait, the Bags Brigade, because they cross over.
That's got to be an Olympic sport sometime soon. Probably for LA.
Yeah.
By then. Well, cornhole in the Olympics.
Whatever's on the Ocho will be the next Olympic sport, on a cycling basis.
Yeah.
Jared, what you got?
I'm going to go right down the, what did Tony Husband call controversy?
Controversy.
Controversy. So the controversy out of the opening ceremony is Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper painting. And during the opening ceremony, the art director for the French Olympics here, the controversy?
Just say controversy.
Just say controversy.
It's easier.
Just say the shit.
Has so-called alienated billions of Christians. My first question to you, Zach, because I wanted to bring it up to you.
Yeah.
It looks like the Last Supper.
No. But it can look like it, but it's not.
So it's the painting from like the pagan
Dionysus. Yeah. Bacchanalian.
It's too close. So like, I mean, these people are getting paid lots of money. They are in it to do this. There's billions of people watching the spectacle, if you will.
Are we talking about it right now?
We
sounds
are.
like
Well,
it.
then it's the mission
my
accomplished.
thoughts are is
So,
why would they even do it? What does it make any sense at all to you?
I think the better question is, why are people so upset? Because no one was forced to watch it. No one was forced to say.
what was it anyway?
It was.
No, I'm just kidding.
First of all, that my controversial point is that opening ceremony was way too long.
That was like started during the day and ended at night.
Boats
3.5
are
hours.
slow.
Yeah,
like
very
boats are
slow.
very slow. When they said it was like 3.2 mile or whatever it was, the distance down the river.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's insanely
It was
long.
really
Like-
long.
Like that's gonna.
And so
be a waste.
to pull out that one thing and get so upset and create such a storm, when the director and the IOC comes out and says, "Guys, we're sorry, we weren't
the statement.
intending to."
This is what I thought was funny, and I'm okay with it because I mean people are going to get crazy about anything nowadays. But I'm a Christian. I was raised Roman Catholic. You know all this stuff. However, the statement released from the speaker that came out and says, "For those that were offended, we apologize." Is that even an apology?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's not an apology.
It absolutely
if he said the words, we apologize. That is an apology.
I don't get it. To me, it's a manufactured.
Yeah,
anger
whatever.
and
Next,
all that stuff.
your name here, because like that's a waste of time, guys. M. Hayes, women's coach. I'm going to run this parallel to the situation that we have on the men's side. for the A team, not the Olympic team. Anybody that says head coach doesn't matter, I'm going to point to Emma Hayes and the U.S. women's team.
The eye test.
Yes, because World Cup wasn't that long ago for them, right? And everybody looked at Spain, and everybody saw England and was like, holy shit, this is a passing of the baton. It's over. The U.S. is, the rest of the world is caught and exceeded them. Well, not anymore. You have the same talent. You got the same rosters for the most part.
They went younger, I think, though. I think
you got to. Yeah, I mean, your core, your spine of players are there. Coach makes all the difference, in my opinion.
So, are you advocating for a Gareth Southgate hire for us? Is that what you're saying?
To a degree, I don't care who it is. Pick somebody.
Pick somebody.
As long as they have a foreign accent, I'm down.
What I will say is you can noticeably see the aura, the attitude, the togetherness. It's a different team entirely under Emma Hayes.
Yes.
And I think that's what you're speaking.
Yeah, it is.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, because it's like, they've already caught that picture of her fist bumping, and it's that kind of, that tough coach. Yeah, here we go kind of vibe. That matters. And whatever she's done, like, you're not seeing the social media posts dribble out like you did before. You're not seeing, where's the controversy with the women's team right now, other than she's the new coach?
I think what was evident for me was after Germany scored their only goal, and everybody kind of got a little down. Yeah. And then we came right back and scored a very, very high-powered, intense goal, and it changed the whole. Yeah, it just changed the whole thing. And I didn't see that type of energy
right
to the World Cup. Not from our girls.
No,
ladies.
Touche.
Speaking of Touche. The great, right? It's our great. Yeah, Zach, someday.
I know.
You will. It's kind of like
maybe I'll grow
you
up
watch
one day.
Bueller, and you're like, the first time you're like, yeah, it's okay. Then you watch Bueller again, because a lot of people that didn't grow up with Ferris are like, yeah, I don't really get it. But then it takes 4 or 5 viewings until they really get it, and they're like, okay, now I'm a fan. The great is going to be that for you.
Oh, that was Napoleon Dynamite for me. So we'll see.
Yeah. Anyway, the Swedish king from the great is the brother of the queen in House of Dragon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the new one that came out. I was watching it. I'm episode 7 in, and I'm like, holy shit, that's him. He's my favorite Swedish king of all time.
That's the dipshit from Sweden.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break. I want to send a quick shout out. Thank you also to Kranzberg Arts Foundation for supporting the show. Music at the Intersection is coming up. It's going to be packed. Black Pumas in particular is a band that I'm just a huge fan of. The festival's super cheap. It's down here in Grand Center. It's early September. Go to musicattheintersection.org. Get your tickets. We're going to take a quick break. Rolling out with Evan Honer. Like I told you, Old Rock House, October 9th. Get your tickets to that too. When we come back, we're going to be talking hockey, kids, soccer, probably more dipshit.
Parent shenanigans.
Yeah, parent shenanigans, all that other stuff. Yep. Catch you on the flip side.
Singing songs we used to sing. The one about the lady in the long black veil.
Hey, Brenda.
Hi, JB.
So, you sell houses.
I do.
Do you also help buyers?
All the time.
Have you ever worked with a soccer mom who's ran out of space and bathrooms?
Well, I am a soccer mom, and all the time.
What about helping a seller get a crowd of people in to battle for their home?
We're pretty good at that as well.
St. Charles County?
All of it.
St. Louis County?
SoCo to Norco.
What about the city?
Would you prefer a golf cart neighborhood or a high-rise close to City Park?
Trick question now. Can you get me close to my kids' training site?
Whether at Soccer Park or Slica, I can help.
Well, where can I get in touch?
Suterandco.com. SOUTERNCO.com.
Awesome. Well, that was easy. Let's go.
Listen up, guys. While you lay claim to the garage, the basement, and that generous little corner of the walk-in closet, let's be abundantly clear. The bathroom belongs to the ladies. The fact that there's a line in the morning means you need to think about a new one for you and the kids. So why don't you set up an adult field trip and go check out Crescent Plumbing Supply Showroom. CrescentSupply.com. Everybody wins.
How can you tell it's a mail plane?
All right, boys. We're back.
Yep.
You know this one? No, anybody?
I don't.
This is another upcoming concert. Actually, this will have come and gone too. Same night as Charlie Crockett At the factory is Cody Jinks
Oh,
at St. Louis Music Park.
nice. Where's that?
It's the mini sister venue next to Riverport.
Centene Community Ice Center.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
exactly where it's at. Yeah.
They take the outdoor rink, and it seats, 1,500 or so people.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's
Chesterfield's going to be busy that night.
it is.
Yeah.
It's good. A lot of things going on.
Maryland Heights.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Centene's
But
at
no,
Maryland
Chesterfield's in the factory.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Our factory's in
but yeah,
Chesterfield.
Okay.
Well, you've heard the voice there and clarifying things for us in the background. We're just gonna name drop and roll. Chris Kerber, voice, personality, blues loyalist for 30 years, and most importantly, a soccer dad.
It's true.
Fellas,
Welcome
25 years. Going into year 25 with a team. 6 years in the minors before that. So
Yeah.
30 total years of
Pro sports.
pro hockey, pro sports.
Wow.
And was that easier than raising 3 girls?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. First time I've ever been asked that question, and that's an easy answer. Yes, it was.
Hey,
or
we-
yes, it is.
We break ground on this show. We dig deep, man. Hey, thanks for joining us. First off,
Oh, my pleasure. Sorry, I know we talked about doing this for a little while. Sorry, the schedules had really never quite lined up.
well, it all makes sense now. I mean, if you have 3 things in your house, much as I do, and you and Jared, you have 1 and that dog.
Well, and I have also a stepson.
And
So
a
I have-
step-grandson.
Yeah. And a grandson.
Oh, that's right. You are much older than us, aren't you?
Yeah. I look older.
We're all very busy, but thank you for taking time out of your day.
No, my pleasure.
So we talked a little bit about kind of the format of the show. You saw the guest list. You kind of know what we have going on here, and what we like to do out of the gate is just kind of put a pin in the map, give a little bit of a who, where, what, when kind of thing. You're a St. Louis guy,
I am.
correct?
Yep.
You grew up West Side.
I'm from St. Louis. I grew up, we lived for a little while in U City and then De Pere. Then we moved way out west, out near Babbler Park, lived off of it. It's 109 now. It was Highway C then.
Yep.
That was before anybody was out there, right? So playing soccer for the Pond Athletic Association when it was
I
a
was
lot
a member
smaller.
of the
all right?
board at Pond
Okay,
for a
so
while, yeah.
and then so this is before. I'm not even sure they had a board. Would have been well, and so but yeah, like I was an altar boy at St. Albans Church before the church was even built. We used to have mass in the library of what's now that Babbler Elementary School.
Okay, yeah.
the old Crestview Junior High.
Did you guys have a picture of the Last Supper on the wall?
No, we didn't do that.
How about Dionysus, a poster of
No,
him
we
on the
didn't.
other side?
We didn't have that one either. Yeah, and as an altar boy, I didn't experience anything either. So we can just get that one out of the way too.
Okay, next subject.
All right, next topic. So I just wasn't sure how deep you guys are going to go there.
Oh no, we're extremely
Yeah.
shallow. Don't worry about it.
Gotcha. No, so I grew up out there. Then we moved back into Chesterfield, from there. So kind of bounced around all over the place, but grew up in St. Louis. I got the second oldest of 9 kids. Everybody's back here. Our mom passed away in '93 of cancer, and Dad just did an amazing job keeping the family tight. So everybody at one point, some were out of town. Everyone's back here. There's 20 total grandkids. For Dad running around. They hang out like the brothers and sisters. It actually, the day as we're recording this, my daughter is going out with my sister and 3 cousins for dinner, before she goes back to school. So that's the special part about having everybody back home and being in St. Louis. And then I went to Miami of Ohio for college.
Yeah.
Worked at, did all the sports there, got a marketing major and a business degree, but spent all my time with the student radio station, became sports director, general manager of the student radio station there. So called sports during that. And then just by the luck of it, I say luck of it, but you make your luck.
Right.
Okay. But in that process, I ended up getting a job with the Birmingham Bulls in the East Coast Hockey League. 2 years later, moved up to Springfield, Massachusetts in the American Hockey League, spent 4 years there, and then got the job with the Blues and moved back home in 2000.
So why hockey? You know, a lot of sports. Miami of Ohio is.
It's a fantastic story. When you graduate in May, all the baseball teams are already in season. Mm-hmm. Hockey seasons have just ended. I fell in love calling hockey games while I was in school, so it really became something I wanted to do. and college loans are due 6 months after you graduate. Right. So I needed a job. And so with all the baseball teams already in season and no baseball jobs available, I went the hockey front. And that's one of the, I do believe that things happen for a reason. Whether people believe in higher powers, whatever, maybe it's just the Earth's magnetic pull. It could be whatever reason, but it clearly worked out.
So
yeah.
were you a fan of hockey as a kid?
Yeah.
Big blues fan, going down to the
growing
barn?
up in St. Louis, hockey fan, blues fan, sports fan, Steamers fan.
I was going to say.
Huge Steamers fan, I even got a video of my daughter falling on a soccer ball at one point, and I went, slow-mo, and who the hell is that? I'm like, all right, we'll get there, So it's still fun, actually. I don't know if you guys kids have played at such a higher level and stuff now, but it's wicked sometimes. Just yell out an old name.
Oh, I know.
At these youth hockey, sports games and stuff. And you could do it at hockey. You could do it in soccer. Like a kid will just come running way out of the box, like, "Whoa, easy, slow-mo," and you'll get about 4 people who go, "Dude, awesome!" And then the others are like, "Who the hell's that?"
And they're all pulling their hoodies up. Look at my Steamers T-shirt.
Like those that said, "Who the hell's that?" I don't know about you. I'm drinking with those guys.
Yeah, that's it. The simple litmus test, right?
Right.
So then you're calling minors. Walk us through. You had 5-6 years, before coming back and working with the Blues. Let's get to that. Your coming home point. What happened? Where? How did the opportunity arise for you to come back, be close to family, and work with a team you grew up loving?
You work in the minor leagues. The first year, I think my salary was $18,000. I mean, and I don't think it was ever over $25,000 unless I did some sales, and I did. I sold dasher boards, under ice logos, season tickets. That's how you help kind of supplement your income there. And I was home on vacation. I had 1 week's vacation every year, and I was home on vacation, and I was actually in the parking lot at Union Station waiting to go into a meeting to see Mark Halsey, who at the time was with Fox Sports. And in the paper that morning, in the Bernie Bitts column, it said that Dan Kelly Jr. was leaving the Blues and going to do play-by-play for the Columbus Blue Jackets. My dad called me up and said, "You see the paper this morning?" I said, "No." He goes, "Dan's leaving." Literally the night before, I'm hanging out with my dad, and I said, "I just got to get it in my head that if I do get to the National Hockey League, it's not going to be in St. Louis." He goes, "Why would that be?" I go, "Well, why the hell would Dan ever leave?
Yeah,
it's just a great job.
Yeah,
it's better than the TV job in some markets." And after 6 years in the minors, and I had an opportunity to step out of the broadcast booth and take over as marketing director of the minor league team I was working for in Springfield. It starts to say, hey, okay, do I actually maybe want to start my life? I don't know that making $25,000 a year is the way to go, and that kind of thing. And it opened up. I had one tape in town. I had sent the tape to a woman who's just been a mentor and amazing part of my life professionally, Lisa Bedian, and I had entered. She had worked for. I interned when I was in high school with her. She, just got an internship working for Mel Carnahan. Don't take that personally, anybody. Hell, at that point, I didn't even know politics. It was a fun thing to learn.
But we're checking all the boxes.
Well, we got to make sure, don't we? And then, but she had it, and she was working at Channel 5 at the time, but she was out of town. So I called her up. And she goes, "It's on my desk. Go get it." So I go over to Channel 5, and I go, "Hey, I got to get to Lisa Bedian's desk. She's got a tape of mine that I need on her desk." The security guy's like, "Yeah, right. Okay, sure." Like, okay. And I pulled my keys, my wallet, my watch off, everything. I go, "You can have everything that I need. You can come pat me down. You can walk in front of me and behind me. Call her. It's at her desk, and I need it." And this is a Friday. And so we go to the desk, I get it. Now, there had been a little coffee spilled on the actual resume part. So my Aunt Joan was working for a printer at the time, so I left Channel 5, drove to Joni's place. I said, "Joni, can you dress this up?" She goes, "No problem." My brother Jim was working in the front office at the Muni at the time. I called him up. I go, "Can I use your computer?" He goes, "Yeah." So I drove back from Olivet to the Muni.
Wow.
Typed up a cover letter. By the time I got done with that, I drove back to get the resume, and I drove it downtown. And when I walked into the Blues office, and I said, "Hey, I need to just make sure that this gets to Jim Woodcock." And she's, well, he's in. Would you like to see him? And I made that mistake once when I walked in on the Indianapolis ice owner, and I went, nope, don't want to see him. Just make sure he gets it for me. That, like 2 days later, or a day later, I got a call from Jim that just said, hey, just want to let you know I got your resume. I haven't listened to it, but just want to let you know that I got it. I said, okay, look, I'm leaving town tomorrow to head back to Springfield. Do you want me to stay in town? No. If we want to interview you, we'll call you up. Literally 2 days later, he calls me up. We're back in Springfield. He goes, should have kept you in town. Can you fly back home? and I said, sure. And he says, we don't want anybody to know that you're interviewing. That's weird. Okay, no problem. And he said, we're going to put you in a hotel. I said, don't put me in a hotel. Don't spend any money. I'm going to stay with my dad. Well, I go, I'll figure that out with my dad and, family that I had to pop back in for something. So I interviewed it, and they said, we'll let you know in 2 weeks. And literally 2 weeks later, they flew me back home and said, you want the job. So that's...
What year was this?
That was 2000. So my first year was the 2000-2001 season.
Where did
was
you
a
go?
big year.
Where did you go celebrate at? Where did the family
So
go?
the Blues that year, that was the first year on KTRS.
Okay.
And so Kelly Chase was hired at the same year. So we put in the booth at the same time. And we literally, because of where KTRS was, we just had all my friends and family just meet over at Ozzy Sports Bar right there.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so, and that's where
And
we
you
partied
drank
it up.
a bunch of Bud Zeros.
Right? And no, for me, it was either fully loaded Bud or Bud Light.
Oh, there you go,
Yeah.
man.
That's pretty St. Louis.
Go ahead, man.
Well, and I just the timeline is just out of this world. So you start there in that early 2000s. What guys were you touching at that point? Well, I mean, Joe Buck was still around, correct? I mean, or had he passed already?
No, Joe was already gone from that booth.
Okay.
From there, but Ken Wilson was still doing
was
TV.
there, yeah.
Okay, so Ken and Bernie were doing TV. Chaser and I did the radio. But Kenny's last year was the year before the 04-05 lockout, so 03-04.
Okay.
And then John Kelly was brought back after that. Listen, I had a great indoctrination into the National Hockey League because of Kelly Chase. He took me under his wing and kind of taught me the NHL.
Yeah.
Almost as if like I was a rookie player and he was a player. Is hey, you're coming to lunch with you're coming to dinner with me and Scotty Young. You're coming to dinner with us. And then I would always, at the end of dinner and stuff, I'd break off, and kind of let the players do their thing. I don't ever want to be in a. I've developed great relationships and some terrific friendships with a good amount of these players. But I'm never like I don't cling along. Wow, let's go get
Right.
Because I also don't ever want a general manager, an owner, somebody coming in asking me a question I got to lie about.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know when it's my time to go. In the minor leagues, you were taught the deal was like the hotel bar. That was for the coaches, and then broadcasters were also sometimes the traveling secretaries. You were the PR director, right? The hotel bar was off limits to the players. And the drill was if you went into a bar and you saw players, you had to leave. Yep. Now, we didn't always do that in the minors because, shoot, they're your age too and stuff. But it was, but you learn the ropes. And honestly, like my experience, even compared to some other buddies of mine that kind of broke into the league right around the same time who didn't have that kind of guy that I had with Chaser, it was a different experience for them. So it was pretty cool.
Go ahead, Zach.
I'm just blown away by the story, first of all, and it's so cool that several of our sports teams in St. Louis have local talent on the air, in the booth, for TV, for radio, and several of them we've had on the show. I am still fascinated by the voice, and it's a weird question.
Okay.
But did you develop your radio voice, or did you just have that and it just kind of worked out that you wanted to be in radio as well?
I didn't develop squat. I haven't developed abs. I haven't developed.
That's the hotel bar.
That's a soccer dad thing, man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no problem on there. The voice was just genetics. Dad's got a good set of pipes. I was listening to the 1985 World Series. So I'm 53. I was 70, born in 71. So, the late 70s and Cardinals and stuff are all my era in the 80s especially. And I remember just sitting there watching the 85 World Series and listening to it with Jack Buck on the call. And I said to my dad, I could do that. And Dad said, you could do whatever you want. And from that point on, you know, well, I went to Country Day and we had to wear coat and ties and stuff. And so we had, there was a group of us and we took like an old Walkman, right? As soon as we got thin enough, my mom had this really thin, just radio Walkman, like almost like credit card thin.
Yeah.
And we'd put it in the front pocket of the coat and we'd break off the headsets to just the earpiece, even that's in these sets, and we'd string it up. So during day games, we'd have the cord would run down our sleeves, no one could see it, and you would just hold the earpiece in your hand, like in my left hand, and in class during day baseball games, whatever, you would just lean to your left and like you were leaning your head in your hand, and we'd be listening to the baseball game. And literally, it was it was awesome. Until one kid went, yes, during a home run. And then, like, he goes, okay, what the hell? And he goes, anybody else? And you really didn't want to lie at that point. Like, 4 of us got up and we're pulling wires out of our coats to put the headsets down.
And I'll just break forward here before we get into some of the soccer stuff and parenting that we're going to touch on. 2019, we win the Cup. Talk about that time and how special that was for the guys that you built relationships with, Chaser. Do you have any funny stories around that time? I mean, what did
we'll be here till the sun comes up?
What did that do for our city winning that Cup?
It did everything. And real quick, Zach, going back, you mentioned that, like, the St. Louisans that have had a chance to call games, and that is. It's extremely special. Look, I would feel the same way, I think, if I had gotten my first job in Nashville and I had been in Nashville the last 25 years, I'm pretty sure I'd still feel the same way about that franchise as I do about the Blues, because you just become immersed in part of it.
Sure.
But when we hired Joe Vitale to replace Kelly Chase for that 18-19 season, Chaser decided it was time to go on and do some other things. We did a really concerted search on this and ended up landing on Joe Vitale, even though he didn't play for the Blues, but he played in the league, but a St. Louisan. Joe and I are the first, like, all St. Louis broadcast team.
Wow.
And it kind of it's not something you brag about, you harp on, but when you think about it, it's really cool. Like, both guys from St. Louis, one guy wanted to be a broadcaster, one guy wanted to be a hockey player. Both did what they wanted to do. I made it to the National Hockey League. He made it as a player to the NHL, and now we're in the booth together. So that the growth of the sport, and this leads to the other question about the Stanley Cup. I haven't figured out how to put this into words, to be honest with you. But I'll try again. I think the St. Louis Blues winning the Stanley Cup validated 50 years of fandom for a city. Mm-hmm. It was always, it's fun, it's great. We've had stars. Brett Hull, saved a franchise basically. Like all this different.
We got Gretzky for that cup of tea, a cup of coffee.
The amazing players and everything that have come through. But to win a championship, and after all the near misses and the frustration and not getting back to the final since 1970 and all that. It just unleashed.
Well, it's the whole bridesmaid versus bride, right? Because when you go back and you look at the names, the Brett Hulls of the world, Brendan Shanahan is another one that jumps out because they were so huge here.
Dominant.
But the asterisk was they went somewhere else and lifted the cup. That happened over and over and over. But that run, my question to you is, at what point, because you've been involved in a lot of playoffs, right? You've been
President's trophies,
right? Different runs, and hey, this is the team, or hey, we feel really good, or you start to look at the whiteboard and you're like, hey, the map makes sense for us, but it never did. During that playoff run, given your eyeballs and experience, when did you personally think or feel this is different, or did you? Or were you just along for the ride and surprised at the end?
So You hit on a lot there. The first thing is, again, back to about validating the fandom. It was so much more than just players that came in that were studs and superstars that were fun. The Blues and the other sports teams, really, for the most of the Blues were always, you had to fight for airtime. You were lucky, and you were really lucky if anybody was on the air intelligently talking about the game. And that's where, frankly, when the Blues went to KTRS, that changed big time, 24, 25 years ago. And now where we are on 101, I mean, you can turn on the radio, and within about 20, 30 minutes, if you missed one segment, you're going to hear hockey, and it's going to be good talk. And that's big. But it was also ownership issues for years, different things like that. Moving forward to that season, there was... When did I know something was different? I don't know that I did until, I don't know. I didn't necessarily know that things are really different until the hand pass game against San Jose in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Now, we got the luck that we needed, Game 7 against the Dallas Stars, and that. I mean, I got a picture on my phone here, guys. 90 seconds before Pat Maroon scored, that puck is on the goal line. I mean, we literally thought the horn was going to blow and this season was going to end. But you knew something was special when Jordan Bennington came up and then the team just started to go on a run. But when you're in the middle of it, it's organic. Sure. It's easy to look back now and say, well, there was this, there was that. When you are literally in the middle, you're like, okay, does 7 games become 8? Does 8 games become 9? And even then, you're like, when's the shoot? Now, and even after all that, and the Blues finished with 99 points. And they didn't just squeak into the playoffs. No, they went on a run. They finished with 99 points. The only reason that they were second was they lost the tiebreaker to Winnipeg. So the reason I say that is, even after all that, it's playoff time, and the playoffs have never really gone well. So now you have to exercise that demon all over again, no matter what. And you have been trained as a Blues fan to do that.
Right.
Once you got into the playoffs, Jaden Schwartz gets 2 hat tricks. He scores. I mean, this guy couldn't score all season long, and then literally offensively carried the team in the Winnipeg series.
Who had our number that year, I believe.
Who had our number that year? Then in the Dallas series, it was just a great back and forth. And when Jordan Bennington skated over and swung his stick going to the bench and hit Bishop on the back of the leg, down in Dallas, I'm like, oh yeah, this team's got swagger now. That this team could do it. And then the reason I say the hand pass Game 3 against San Jose, they kill you in Game 1, you beat them in Game 2. But the coaches knew something different. Joe Vitale and Darren Pank saw Steve out right after that first game in San Jose, 3rd round, and said, "Whoa, that one was tough." And Steve out said, "Don't worry about it, boys. We got them." What? I mean, you just lost by 4 or 5 or 3 or 4, right? But that hand pass game, the next day, I was in the locker room, and I had to leave to do a radio interview. And as I was walking out the locker room, Pat Maroon's walking out with me. I go, "Well, Patty, what do you think?" Right? He goes, "Just another game, Kerbs. It's just another game." And the radio interview I was doing was out in San Jose. And they said, "Well, what do you think of that game last night?" I said, "I don't know about last night, but I can promise you the rest of the series, the San Jose Sharks have no idea what's coming." And we broke a franchise the rest of the way. We didn't lose the game, and that's when I knew it was different. There was I hadn't sensed that like nothing, like Teflon Don approach.
Bennington could walk on
and
water.
And now but once you've seen it, you know when it's back. It ain't back yet. But once you've seen it,
right,
you know what it is. And I can honestly tell you, if you haven't seen it, you don't know what it is. You think you know. But that was just different.
How many beers did Brett Hall have at the parade?
I do not know. I wasn't on his float. I wasn't on his float.
He doesn't even know how many he himself had.
Actually, okay. Listen, I've told this story before. Guys, I didn't even so much as get buzzed until like July of that summer off a beer, because I literally didn't want to forget anything. So the night of the cup, the champagne's going. I had the same Bud Light can in my hand for about 4.5 hours.
Wow.
Right? I went there, I got one. And I didn't worry about it and every step of the way there was just something else to take in. There was something I was hanging out down the hallway, with Bobby Plager. Pat Maroon was the one that literally dragged me into the room while the celebration with the cup was going on.
Wow.
Just the time at Obie Clark's and all that stuff. I was watching and taking in everything. And then when we finally went back to my wife's hometown in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, after everything was kind of done, the cup was going around its tour with all the players, pulled into Pittsfield after the long drive.
Yep.
And it was on.
Well, let me. That begs a big question.
That was a beer can opening up, not a gun cocking. Just want to make sure people know that.
Yeah. How far is Pittsfield?
Let's see here. Da Vinci, Dionysus Guns.
We got it all covered.
Mel Carnahan.
Mel Carnahan.
How far is Pittsfield from Boston?
2.5 hours.
So closer than here.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So I would imagine, was that an
That's
interesting
good geography.
Yeah. Was that?
It's why we keep them around.
Yeah. I'm the cerebral one. See?
It is a Boston market. Yes.
Right. So was your wife's family? Is there ever been an issue there on?
Oh, hell yeah.
Titletown and.
Yeah, well, no. Okay. Well, not so much on that because my father-in-law grew up somehow a Rams fan.
Interesting.
So when the Rams moved to St. Louis, that was big for him. So the Patriots, no. I mean, I can call those guys what they are, cheaters, the whole way through and it never bothered him.
Was Bill Belichick on the Canadian national team? That's weird. I didn't know that.
I threw that tweet out a couple days ago. Yeah.
He was piloting the drone.
Yeah, would they pay him under the table and a bunch of loonies? Now the fascinating one, he's a Red Sox fan. I've always enjoyed the Red Sox too, so that was no problem. The Stanley Cup, and Andy is a diehard sports fan, but we do give him crap for this. So I had tickets for, my wife came up for games 1 and 2, and I said, Andy, you want to come to the games? Well, of course he did. I said, okay. I said, you cannot wear, these tickets are from the St. Louis Blues. I'm buying them for you. You cannot wear Boston gear, right? And you sort of what I still think underneath his shirt he did. Now, to this day, Christy and I still give him crap. We're like, we know that you would have much rather seen the Boston Bruins win the Stanley Cup than us have that Stanley Cup party at our house.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's not true. And we get him until he gets mad, and then we stop. then we let up on it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So there was some fun with it, but it was good.
I know we're gonna move on.
Well, we're gonna take a quick break, but I want to close this out with another question from that experience. As a St. Louisan, who had been around, the Blues for as long as you had, and you're a Cardinal fan, you were probably a Rams fan, and everything else. When you kind of reflect back, for you, how important was it to give it back to the city, to win? Did you feel more pride? Was it kind of a?
Well, what do you mean to give it back to the city?
Well, not you personally. You're sitting front row. You hear everybody saying, "Oh my God, you guys did it! You guys did it!" When you look back at it, how cool is it to know that you were part of?
It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
And I knew it'd be special to call the first ever Stanley Cup championship for this team. Never thought it would get the reaction it did. To this day.
Yeah.
Still. And so, again, that's why I think I've come to verbalize this saying it validated fandom for everybody. And I feel very blessed and fortunate just to have been a part of it. And to me, you have to look at it that way. We have to look at things way to keep ourselves, to stay humble in it.
Yeah.
I was fortunate and lucky. It could have been somebody else 20 plus years ago that got the Blues job. They didn't, right? I don't know what the difference was, why I got it, right? So I'm very privileged to have it, and I look at that as, okay, now it's my job to just do the best I can for it before we turn it over to the next person. And that Stanley Cup championship was just another step in that.
How bummed out was Kelly that he that he walked out 1 year early?
Truthfully, I honestly, God, I don't think, at least in our conversations, he's never looked at it that way. He tells a story. He was driving home, and he ended up pulling off on the side of the highway right in front of the arena and listened to the broadcast.
That's awesome.
Down the end, So he listen. That guy is true blue, bleeds blue as much, if not more than anybody. He was every bit as happy.
That's awesome.
Well,
And the franchise did such a great job with the alumni afterwards, in my opinion. And to this day, for me personally, it's a personal thing. Marshawn is my least favorite professional athlete of all time. And it's because of that year and because of that playoff series.
and if we had him on our team, you'd love him.
Yes, I would.
No, yeah, that's a whole other subject matter there. Yeah. Hey, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna dig into your take on our new crown jewel in the soccer world, City SC. Your own experiences with your daughter in the club world, your new role or impending role, and thoughts on soccer parents everywhere, because you're one. Right?
Yeah, we can talk a lot of soccer. A lot of positives with some negatives.
There we go. We'll be right back after this. Thanks, guys.
But tonight I'll make things right by the fire with some candlelight.
Music at the Intersection will be a 2-day jam-packed music festival with an abundance of food, beverage, and merch vendors throughout. 2-day passes start at just $175, 1-day passes at $95, $40 for kids 12 to 17, and those under 12, free. Go to musicattheintersection.org to get your tickets and be part of the party in historic Grand Center. All right, boys.
That's a different vibe.
It is.
Yeah.
Was in the mood for a little brass.
Yeah, I like it. Went from outlaw country kind of, or just country to...
Yeah, we're all over the board.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm waiting for the right guest to play a little Miles Davis, and I haven't got that guest yet. Someday soon.
We'll figure it out.
How's that first form? Is it keeping up?
Fading.
And there goes the sponsorship.
Yeah, no, it was actually pretty good. I don't ever drink energy drinks. I never really have. But I was in a hurry because I had a flat tire this morning and I had to get it fixed at Dobbs. Still not a sponsor, but
shout out
maybe
to
someday soon.
Dustin. Hey, Dustin, if you're listening.
But I had to have somebody drop me off to get the car. I just needed something, and I wasn't going to drink hot coffee, and the first form was there, and I was like, I'll give it a shot.
I quit drinking caffeine 27 years ago.
Yeah.
No coffee, nothing?
No.
Like, what's your morning liquid of choice?
Water.
Phew, sounds awful.
Why did you do that? Like, what was the goal? Why? I mean, how many years ago?
I used to, but it's been 26.
So you were 22, 23 years old?
I was in his
30s. Or close to 30.
This will be my 25th year. I was in my 30s, right around 30. I was sitting down to do a game in St. John, New Brunswick for the Springfield Falcons, and 10 minutes before the game started, my heart started racing. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. So I go down to the locker room. They grab the team doctor. It was the St. John Flames. They were affiliated with the Calgary Flames, the other team was. Doctor said, I don't think it's a heart attack because it's a regular heartbeat, but let's get you to the hospital just to make sure and just in case. So they threw me in the equipment truck, rode in the front seat of the equipment truck, and their equipment manager, one of their interns, drove me to the hospital in St. John, New Brunswick. And after the game, we had a 9-hour bus ride back to Springfield. They couldn't figure out what it is. It was fine. I got back. I called the rest of the game. And I would drink Coca-Cola like people would drink coffee. Okay. And after running some tests and stuff, no one could ever figure it out. I said, well, all right. No caffeine, probably too much caffeine. I'll just cut it out. And so for 10 days, I felt slow. I'd have the caffeine headaches. I had all that stuff. And then literally, guys, day 11, I woke up, I'm like, whoa, like awake, alert, like this is good. Now, so I will drink caffeine. I have had caffeine. I could drink iced tea. Okay, but aside from that, like if I'm on the long drive to Massachusetts with the family, we're driving through the night, I might drink a Dr. Pepper or something. Okay. But if I had a caffeinated cup of coffee, it sometimes will happen on accident because somebody will just pour regular in the old decaf pot.
Sure.
Right? Okay, man, within an hour you see my hands. And I'd be like, then I started looking around. I'd be like, prairie dog. I could tell you that an earthquake's coming or hear a mouse fart from across the state.
I shake without it at this point.
I just.
But now when I need a nap, I just take it.
Yeah.
I'd go take a nap.
Yeah, that's nice.
Hey, so I alluded to it right before the break. You've been part of the sports fabric community here via the Blues in St. Louis now for a while. Let me first ask, soccer fan. Was soccer in your childhood?
Oh, I played.
Fandom?
Yeah, I was always a fan. I played soccer and baseball growing up. Loved playing soccer. Just played through high school and stuff, and then just played in intramural leagues and
Sure.
all that stuff. And actually, my record for juggling a ball, I hit 700. I failed an economics exam in college, so I went on the quad to get focused again, so I could, because I had a calculus exam coming up. And I just started juggling in my room, and I got witness on this. So I got a roommate; he's looking out the window, started counting.
Dave?
No. This was actually before I ended up rooming with Raz. This was as a sophomore, and so I was just juggling the ball, and he kept counting. We got up 690, 99, and right at 700, I went, "That's enough," and I just booted the ball away, like just literally teed up, just kicked it as far as it went, and aced my exam, and all good there. So no, I've always been a soccer fan. I went to. Would go to Steamers games a lot. My grandma, we'd go to the Bronze Boot games.
Oh yeah,
all the time growing up. Like it's neat to see that game. Last year come into City Park. Back to that, I was at the game in '84 when the U.S. played the Soviet Union at Busch Stadium, and the players came out beforehand because remember it was the Soviets that or the U.S. boycotted the games in '80 in Moscow, and then so the Soviets boycotted the '84 games in L.A. So this game at Busch Stadium between Russia and the United States, the players, it was after that, and the players came out and they actually, for what it's worth, it's a paper treaty, and it was
Sure.
symbolic, but they said that we won't let politics get in the way of sports and humanity kind of thing. So I'm there for that. So I go down.
They kicked each other for 90 minutes.
Right.
I go down as often as I can, with my daughter and her teammates. We take them down to the SLU women's games. Absolutely love going down to those games.
So let me ask you about environment, because hockey, we were talking off the mic here. It's so unique in its speed and energy and the enthusiasm within an arena, especially whenever you're in those big games, when things are really moving and there's a lot at stake. There's an energy that the NHL brings that is so unique to the NHL. City Park and soccer, for the first time to have a professional team, last year's incredible inaugural run, but the stadium itself, because we're season ticket holders.
So am I.
Perfect. So let me ask you this. What were you expecting? Because you knew the game.
I was expecting this.
Were you expecting it to be that kind of energy?
Oh, absolutely. It's the one sports audience market, whatever word you want to put, that didn't have an outlet and hasn't had an outlet since the Steamers left. Okay, so I guess that's grossly unfair to the other indoor teams, the Ambush and the others, the Storm and stuff that came along. But we're not talking the same level here.
No, they know.
Okay,
Look, we all
not
know
talking
the same
level.
They agree. They know that.
This was different. It's actually quite mind-boggling to think that MLS has been around as long as it has without St. Louis having a franchise. Mm-hmm. It's even more mind-boggling that there weren't ownership groups that figured out how to get it here, because the early success from a fandom standpoint, from a drawing standpoint, from a merch standpoint, from an excitement, energy level, all that standpoint,
it would have been here in the late 90s.
If there was a no-brainer in sports, if there truly was a if you build it, they will come moment, it was that sport, that franchise in this market.
Sitting front row, though, do you think that there was a certain amount of business heavyweights that simply were trigger shy because of Kroenke, because of his role in activities because he also owned the share in the Rapids
and Kerber.
No. Look, I think Kroenke's got to be one of the worst individuals to walk the face of the planet, and has absolutely no integrity whatsoever in his body. Okay,
that's on a good day.
Yeah. Listen, I have zero respect for anything from that, from watching what he did here. And I'm not even pissed that the Rams moved. I knew the moment that he exercised his right in the last hour, to take that team from Shad Khan, basically, you knew that they were moving. I understand the business. I'm not mad that they left, right? But in the end, to tell the lies and the fraudulent nature, that's where I was done
for the
with
longevity of lies that he was telling.
That's where I was done with it. But no, I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think MLS actually did something that was really smart franchise-wise. I don't think they tried to push the envelope. I don't think they tried to get big too quick. I don't think they said, man, we got to get to 30 franchises in this time, that time, right? They built a really good foundation and a strong product. And yeah, they didn't get much notoriety. No, you didn't see highlights on ESPN, right? And you still almost never will. Okay, but they knew where they were at. And they knew that if we build with the strength of the bases that we're at, we're gonna have a good foundation. When they decided to put a rule in place that you have to have a soccer-only stadium to have a franchise, I thought it was brilliant.
Yep.
That, without a doubt, slowed St. Louis's ability. To get it. Okay, because if it was you could play at Busch, right? Or you could play somewhere else, we probably would have had that franchise a lot sooner. Finding the area, finding the land. The challenges of building a stadium are what they are in today's economy, today's sports world. That was probably the biggest thing that slowed it down in the end coming here. But there's absolutely nothing about the popularity or anything around this franchise that I honestly could tell you I'm surprised with.
Let me ask you this, from a pure St. Louis and Homer standpoint. The Blues historically have always had kind of a 3-1-4 ingredients in the mix, whether it was in the front office or on the bench with players, et cetera, and obviously staff. When City started to do what it was doing, Carolyn Kindle and the team, and they started to place, Lutz as the sporting director, and then hiring Carnell, who's literally a South African.
Who should still be here.
Right, there were a lot of names that St. Louis sports fans, let alone soccer fans, had never heard of. As someone that's, had seen a franchise that blended really well, backyard names with obviously the best in the game, what do you think that this group is doing well, or how they're integrating St. Louis and our own culture and our people into the process?
Well, I think the sport itself lends it to that with the academies and how that part works. So the one thing MLS does that none of these other sports do is actually, I gotta be careful, not the other sports don't do. The nature of how you can build your team can actually have a true close grassroots nature. The St. Louis Blues can't go find a young 13, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old hockey player and kind of stake claim to them like you can in soccer and the different academies and bring them up. None of the other sports do it like that. Okay, so there is that nature. And again, I'm going to go back to what I said before. There are so many kids playing soccer and so many ages playing soccer, and it is that popular that there was just a natural feed. It didn't matter so much who you brought in. They were going to learn who they were. And the nature of this being a great Midwest city, the nature of who St. Louis people are, right? Once somebody becomes our guys, our team, right?
Right.
All right, our women, and I do hope that we do end up with a women's team here in St. Louis. That's that. Now, I guess I lied. There is one thing that surprised me. The first 15-game success for an expansion team. Okay, nobody saw that coming. All right? Now, I looked at it a lot differently than maybe some others, okay? I saw a goalie that was keeping us in a lot of stuff, and I'm like, that's not going to last. I don't care what the hell sport you're in. That was not going to last, because eventually those chances that Berkey was saving in those 15 games, or the 4 goals that were scored, what was in the first 5 or 6 games, or one of the other team's defenders passed it straight to Klaus on a clearing attempt, you're like, whoops. Okay, those things weren't going to happen. So if you get rid of the first 15 games, right, they're a team now that's well below 500, and they have really, except for those first 15 games, they have truly been an expansion team.
Yeah.
And there's the reality of it. So everybody's expectations got inflated. Okay, and then reality came. So I'm a realist when it comes to sports.
Well, isn't it? I mean, we were talking about this, I believe, off the mic. We were talking about some of the checking boxes for a hockey team to make a legitimate run in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and one of the things we talked about was goalie, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if we would have stayed above water for the first half, but you take that first half performance and you slide it to the back half of the season, right? Because you got to have that luck. You got to have that luck going into the playoffs, and we lost all that luck after the.
I think the single thing that unraveled the first year for City was the injury to Leuven.
That was a big one.
Yeah,
that to me, that to me was huge. I mean, everything he touched was going to gold. This year, Giacchini leaving too. You lost a little bit of speed and some energy there when he left and went to Italy after that season. But this year it's different. This year, you don't see the backside pressure that made him successful. You don't. It looked more like some of the traditional play that you tend to see in pro soccer. And so the things that actually cause those turnovers, cause the issue, cause the pressure on the other team, the City clearly wasn't doing it. Clearly the injury to Leuven, and then obviously the personal side of what he's dealing with, and that I can't imagine living hell that they're going through. I don't know. That's hard as hell to perform at your best there. But then you weren't getting some bounces, things like that.
Right.
I call it maybe fair. I was a huge Klaus fan last year. This year, I'm like, I stop flopping your hands in the air, start using your size a little bit, and actually just play like actually play.
Yeah.
Right. And so and to me that was feeding through the rest of the team. Now I realize I'm on the outside. I'm not in the locker room seeing it, but I also know enough about locker rooms and sports to know how those kind of things can when you have, like in the NHL, we got one of our best players and the body language sucks. It goes through the team.
Yep.
And so there are things like that when you look at it now, I look at it, guys, and I just go, okay, but I'm not disappointed in it because it's an expansion team, and I still think we are a better team and ahead of where an expansion team typically would be.
Oh, for
so
sure.
I'm fine with this.
Is there like a club for broadcasters in St. Louis? And what I mean by that is, do you guys ever get together, like you and Dale and Joey and
Actually, I've never met those two guys yet.
Oh, how have we made that miss? That's crazy.
Well, it's just sometimes you just have different times, different seasons, different things that go.
I want to get into, I mean, I love talking about City, but I want to get into more the personal side of it with your daughter and the club you got going on right now, because I think one of the things that does drive our audience a little crazy is when we do talk about parents and we talk about parent behavior and we talk about the nuances to every club, and not only the clubs, but then the different leagues and the different things. So can you kind of talk a little bit about your situation, meaning where your kid is playing, and you don't have to get too detailed, but whatever you're willing to share, and then what you've seen on the sideline?
Well, I've seen the same things that just about everybody sees. All right, so I'll start with a negative, but I won't go too deep into this because I don't like with some of the other guests you have. I know people have all heard some of the same stuff, but just really whether it's whatever the youth sport is, youth hockey, youth soccer, youth basketball. I've coached CYC basketball. I've coached CYC volleyball. I've coached CYC soccer. Okay. I've got a daughter that has played club volleyball. I've had a daughter that's danced. I have a daughter that's played high school volleyball and lacrosse, and my youngest is just, she's all about soccer. This is real simple. The good ones will be good. Your kids, you'll know. And the reality of it is there's a lot of dumb parents out there that think their kid is better than they are. And they push too hard. And look, there's so many different ways to skin a cat, okay? But there's, like, parents are spending a ton of money. And there's a lot, like, what I'm trying to figure out here, guys, to be honest with you, is how much do I want to get involved? Okay,
It's a very dangerous question.
Like I know when it comes to educating parents about IEPs, educating parents about how you need to advocate in schools for your kids. I know how much I want to get involved in that, and that's all in. So the youth sportsmen, I'm gonna become a referee. So I'll be refereeing some CYC games.
Nice.
You got to put your money where your mouth is, and we need refs.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have you had Dan Fitzgerald on, the head of CYC Sports?
Have not.
Okay.
But that
Great
sounds
guy.
like a brilliant.
He's a terrific guy. I've gotten to know him a little bit, and I'll make sure I connect you guys with him. I love his approach and everything. I'll tell you an idea I have for youth soccer here in just a second. I've talked to young refs on the soccer field and stuff. I can't stand it. It makes my blood boil to hear parents get on refs. You know, like I work in pro sports and I'll get on a ref when I'm on the air during a game. But these guys are getting paid and they're trained.
Right.
Okay? And even then, they're going to be lousy in the eye of just about every spectator. And they're really not that bad.
Tim Peel's got pretty tough skin.
Okay. Tim Peel's got extremely tough skin.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's just we have to. I guess the whole point is, and I got three examples. You know, when Ava's team was practicing, you know, they had a practice game, and they were down in Windsor Isles. You guys probably saw this a few years ago, and you know the head guy for the Junior Owls football program, one of his assistant coaches got tired of because they had to share the field with a girls' soccer team. They were letting their football players roll into the field, kick cones away, and stuff like that. And I finally lost my mind. I went onto the field and I said, "Coach, what the hell's going on?" And when he didn't want to talk, I went back to him afterwards. I said, "I think we ought to talk about this real quick because I want to do this right. And if you don't want to talk to me, then you're going to wake up tomorrow and the world's going to be different." And he said, "I don't want to talk to you." I said, "Welcome to the fun." And I went on social media, and I'll help this Greg. I wish I could remember his last name because he's one of the biggest jerk-offs that I could ever imagine. Right? I would never want my kid anywhere around this kid. This guy was sports. Like this guy was el primo reason that there's problems in youth sports. There's one example. And at that point I realized, like, do you use your platform to go public with this stuff? And that one was an absolute one. And man, the school principal was amazing, following up and all that other stuff. Tried to have a meeting. I even drove back down there, and this guy, "Oh, I think we got off on the wrong foot." No, we didn't get off on the wrong foot. You didn't understand what the hell's going on. Okay? And I realized this meeting's now a waste of time. But then there's been other examples. And you've seen me on social media get very lively about parents' behavior and stuff. We were just down in Louisville. All right? The AFA Phillies, Ruffians, the 2010s, they won this tournament in Louisville. In the championship game, my daughter gets bowled over, kind of knocked out of bounds. It's a physical game. I didn't care about that. Ava got up. A parent stood right over her, looked at the kid on his team, and knocked her and goes, "That's what I'm talking about. Keep doing that." And this is with Ava literally about 6 inches off the guy's toe. Instead of helping a kid up, no matter what the team, this dad said, "Man, it caused a problem in the." Like Ava went to the ref, goes, "Did you hear that?" And they had to come over. They brought, the tournament director, like that kind of stuff. I'm like, are you kidding me? We're talking 13-year-old soccer. It's that kind of thing that we have to get rid of. So when it comes to those parents' behaviors and things like that, coaches' behaviors, right? I'm extremely vocal and will always be and use my platform for that. But I want to use it in a way that enacts change the right way. So, like, I threw this idea to Dan at CYC, and it probably isn't happening yet because I didn't follow up with him yet, and this is on my bad. But I had this idea. I looked at him and I said, "Think about development in youth soccer, okay? And you guys boys that have played at high levels." I said, "Dan, why don't we take an assistant coach and put it on the other side of the field for everybody that's under? CYC sports, 8th grade and younger." He goes, "Okay, now follow me on this. Once you go to 11v11, and in CYC soccer, they go to 11v11 earlier than club soccer does.
Yep.
Okay, but even when it stays 9v9, okay, and those fields are smaller. All right, what are some of the biggest issues that come up? Okay, one, parents coaching the kids from the sidelines.
A little bit.
Okay, your kids don't listen to you at home. They ain't going to listen to you on the soccer field when you're yelling, "Do this." Okay, another thing, coaching. I'm going to be on a roll here. When once in a soccer practice, as part of the teaching from a coach, have they ever said, "Get open"? They never say it. They don't say get open, right? You don't hear that. What does every parent yell on the sideline to their kid?
Stand up.
Right?
Move.
They go, get open. And the kid's like, what the hell does get open mean? Right? All these kind of things. So issue one is the coaching from the parents. Then you get the parents' behavior towards the referees. But more importantly, if you really are looking at this from a development of the young soccer player standpoint, boys, girls, doesn't matter which one. It's what's best for the development of the player to teach the game. Okay, well, you're on a big soccer field, all right? I got my team on this side, your team on this side, right? One's on the left, one's on the right for all the radio people out there. When you switch sides, as a coach, you can't get your voice across the field to help with that, okay? Which probably means you're coaching too much anyway during the game, right? So if you didn't do it enough in practice, right? So coach when the kids come off the field. So the first thing you do, you make sure that there's 3 coaches. You've got your main coach on the sideline, then you got your guy you call your bench coach. That bench coach is there not to worry about the game. When the kids come off the field, that bench coach has to be talking to the kids about what they did. Hey, when you got there, watch this. The bench coach actually keeps the kids' attention in the game. And you can do some of your best coaching at that point, all right? You put a coach on the other side of the field. They serve the purpose of, one, if parents, because it's on your side where the parents are sitting, one of your parents gets out of hand, the coach goes, knock it off. Okay, knock it off.
Yeah.
Who's going to argue with the coach of the team? Right? Problem solved there. That takes the pressure off the referees. You calm the sidelines down. It then, the referees, we ask these referees to, we ask coaches, coach your kid. Keep your kid on the field safe. Teach your kid. Now we ask coaches to keep parents in line from all the way across the field. Damn near impossible.
I love that whenever, you got some 12, 13-year-old teenager who's the ref on a CYC game who walks over to the coach and is like, excuse me, coach, could you talk to your parents that are 70?
So the coach is now, if you put an assistant coach, right, or a third parent coach that you've done just a tad bit of training of what the rules are, in terms of the management side of it, and they're going up and down that sideline, okay, within a coach's box is fine too, all right? They're the ones that keep the parents off the referee. They're the ones that keep it, and this will work. The benefit to the kids is you have a coach now on the other side of the field that can also communicate. So in one half, they're communicating maybe on the defensive side, and the other half, they're communicating on the offensive side. And you don't have coaches yelling all the way across the field. There's so many positive benefits to this that there truly isn't, at least that I can come up with yet, a negative to this when you put it under the umbrella of development of the player and the kid.
Yeah, I think exclusively the role would be really, coaching kids at that level. To a degree, get out there, have fun, right? You run in the right direction. At least try to play soccer to a degree. But really, that coach on the other side of the field, near the parents, it's just a babysitter. It's literally like that would be their role, because I get just so.
Yeah, but JB, they can be more. Sorry, the whole point is, yes, it would be so easy just to say everybody put a parent moderator on there. But if you put somebody that's actually at the practices, they can continue to coach that side of the field and communicate in a way that it can still be educational for the player.
I agree, and I think the biggest part of the educational process would be getting the substitute teacher, the parent, to just be quiet, right? Because, that's what we see. That's the difference. In our experience, and I'm going to speak on these two behalf for a second, when we go to an academy event in Coachella or IMG or whatever, and you go to these games where you're seeing a St. Louis City Academy playing Fluminense or Seattle Sounders Academy, whatever. Here's what you will never, ever really see, ever: loud parents. Like, it just doesn't happen. It's just quiet. And I think, there's a lot of things that go into that. And then you go all the way down to the level of what you're describing, like in the CYC world. And it's like parents...
And club world. There's no difference in this behavior.
Yeah. And I think parents don't realize, like, how much they're really detracting from your kids' experience, from their growth, from their ability to learn and play and have fun.
But here's the question. It's so obvious to everybody that why does it still happen? And why
because
does
we
it still
pay for it, right? We have that right.
So there's an excellent. So why does it still happen to the level and the amount that it does? I look at this and say, let's go one step further then. Mm-hmm. The amount of time and energy that it is going to take. How do we change the behavior? Without putting somebody over there, we're not going to really change it. If at every youth level we put somebody over there within a certain amount of time, I liken it to what MLS has done this year, for example, right? They put the rules in place to cut down on the flopping and the laying on the ground a little bit and things like that. No, I don't know that I have seen an example yet where somebody has sat 2 minutes. Have you guys?
No, I haven't seen.
I haven't had a referee show the gonads enough to actually say bull. Even if the trainers came out, you're sitting 2 minutes because the trainer shouldn't have had to come out for this one. So MLS still has to fix that. But whether it be the rules in hockey of clutching and grabbing, whether it be the pitch clock in baseball, the players adjust. And what do you have to do? You had to change the rules to get them to change their behavior on the field. What we do here, we change the rules. We put coaches on that side whose job is to coach, but to also keep them in line a little bit. And in a reasonable amount of time, we're going to change the behavior. And if we do that as adults, and we start kind of protecting the young officials out there in all these different sports, right? We're going to get back to getting referees, and we'll get more referees for these games again. So it's a snowball effect.
It goes a little bit further, too, in that expectations are set at different levels as well, right? So when you're at an academy level, there's a level of fear from a parent because you don't want to be the person who puts your kid in a bad spot with a coach or with a club, right?
Yeah, there's a PR issue there.
Then you go down into the CYC level, the accountability is kind of not really there. But what you're saying is if you put these parameters in place for a sideline coach on the opposite side to kind of be there to monitor, then the accountability is now on the club.
So, and I want to make sure we keep saying that down to the CUSC level. Like I'm speaking every bit as much at the club level too.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that the accountability has to come down to if CYC or SLISA or any of these organizations,
right,
they're the ones that have to police it. What I see is there is no accountability. If a parent acts out, the referee yells, the guy gets or the woman gets in trouble. They walk to their car and they're still yelling from the car.
So Dan Fitzgerald and CYC in St. Louis put this in place now, I think 2 years ago, and this has been fantastic. Other leagues, other church leagues around the country are kind of looking at this. You get a red card as a parent, your kid's out of the game too, and your kid's suspended the next game.
Oh,
and it has made a big difference.
That would be smart. That's the accountability.
But I think the accountability starts with the clubs.
That's what I mean.
The organizations. Because for me, and I think it's improved at least for the clubs that my kid has played for as a youth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we were signing bylaws of parent conduct.
Yep.
And yes, there is instances, but until the conduct from the St. Joseph's in Cottleville or at the CYC level all the way up to the AFA Phillies or the Lou Fuse or the Scott Gallaghers, if there's an asshole parent, the club needs to say, don't come to the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, guys, I'm going to give a great example of this if I could real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I don't think I'm going to go ahead and say this because I want to give him credit. Okay? And if I'm stepping in it, I guess I'll step in it and apologize to somebody later on this. Okay? I don't know. I remember Ado was with the St. Louis Stars, ran the St. Louis Stars.
John.
Okay, John.
Otto Yahik.
We were down in Nashville, Tennessee, and the behavior and so we have the girls' game going on one side, and there's 3 or 4 of us parents waiting for our game to start, and we're watching this boys' game off to the right, and this one team is just getting clobbered, right? And the sportsmanship on the field was awful. Some of the behavior of the parents was even worse, to the point that there's 4 dads that we're sitting here going, we said, hey, we're going to stay right here in the corner of this field. Like, look how young that referee is. I mean, the coaches, like this was pretty ugly and really stupid for like, and it might have been 10 or 11-year-old boys soccer. Okay. Wow. All right. It was bad. And we said, we're going to stay here and make sure this kid gets off the field. So the kid gets on his bike and he skates by us. We stop him. We talked to him for a few minutes. Said, hey, look, he went over to the field. He gave a yellow card to a woman, right? I might have even given the red. We talked to him about, like, you actually handled that real well. Okay, do you want us to stay with you until you get back to wherever you're riding with your bike, whatever you need, because this is stupid. So I did put something on social media about this, okay? Ado calls me up, reaches out. So that sounds like it was our team. Can I check with you? So he did, right? I told him what I saw. I said, look, I saw this from afar. This is what I saw. This woman was wearing this or whatever. I wasn't at the field specific. Like I was kind of in a corner, like in just the space in between. So I want to make sure that I'm real clear that I'm not saying I was right on that sideline. And he was good with it. He goes, actually, by that time already, I was on the weekend. By Monday, they had already met with it. They had kicked the mom and the kid out of the club.
Yeah.
Okay. And from that moment on, I'm like, okay, I'm a fan of yours. And if I need a club for whatever reason or something like that, following you. Because I absolutely loved the integrity of what they had there and stuff. And he said, I got a zero tolerance policy for that. And I'm like, man, we need guys like you leading. And it was awesome. So, yes, the clubs have to have accountability. But I'm going to just put it right where it belongs. You're a freaking parent.
Agreed.
Okay?
All day.
Be one. Be one.
It's
okay.
I
All
mean,
right? Like we had like I can't stand when parents on our own team do this, and and I'm like, okay, when do I say? And I have said something to our own parents before, like what the hell, like cut it out.
Yeah.
And so, and again, it's not. It's enough that it still has to be driven home. It's not every parent on every sideline.
It's
and
not.
Stuff
It's
like
usually, in my experience, it's usually one or two ringleaders.
Yeah.
That get the crowd kind of riled up. They get, another person on the other team fired up because they're being loud.
But as leaders, then we can, and as leaders, we can put things in place to start to change the behavior rather than just ask that it gets changed. And the best result we will actually get, a little bit better coaching of the kids because there's a little bit more to hear on the other side. I mean, guys, how many times we were just talking about this off the air before we got started? Games canceled because we just don't have enough refs. That's not happening in just soccer. That's happening in
everywhere.
every sport.
Yeah. Yep.
So we need to, my daughter, at 12, I think it was when she was 13, they could start reffing, CYC, and I wanted her to do it. But you could tell a parent going, oh man, is that? Like, actually, no, if you want to do this, I want you to do this. I want you to feel that heat a little bit. No, I will be there at every game you were working right now, though, by the way, so don't worry about that end of it. So I just, there's ways to do it, and we could be better. Because the most important thing, and the challenge is, and I forget which one of you guys said it out there, the amount of money that parents are writing the check. Like here's a hard part, okay? Your kid's playing club soccer. It used to be there were ways to play soccer that not just in CYC, but the towns like Pond. Okay, there are ways to play soccer where you could you'd play, and you were basically asked to play on a club team. Or if somebody was playing club soccer when I was growing up, that's the best of the best, and it was
called
the thing.
select soccer.
It was select soccer, right?
Now it's collect.
You had your Castle Oaks, and you had your teams in there, right? So now it's you feel the play, and I understand the pressure, by the way, that the parents are dealing with, because coaches think that, well, you got to be playing a sport and training year round and all this stuff, and the way sports have become such a business and things that the actual initial idea of it's lost its focus in its way with parents in a lot of ways when it comes to developing the child from a teamwork, from a work ethic, from a commitment standpoint. Like, you're not just playing soccer because you want to try and get a college scholarship, because that ain't realistic for most anyway. But if you're learning, hey, no, you go to practice even though you don't want to because you committed to your team. No, actually go to bed early tonight. You got a game tomorrow. You start to learn the discipline. You're actually teaching behavioral things properly to your kid.
Life lessons.
That is what needs to you get back to in the focus here. And to me, we'll sum it up with this is what I said at the beginning: the good ones are good, and you'll see it, and then the opportunities there. So but you're asking all these people to pay this kind of money.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I got to be honest with you. The CYC approach of everybody plays, which I love for that level when you coach, right? that actually probably slows more people down in club when it comes to playing time. Like you might be able to write the check, but it doesn't necessarily mean the playing time is going to get there.
It's a carryover expectation.
Yeah,
totally with you. It just occurred to me. I've got an idea. I'm going to pitch this across to you because obviously you love broadcast. You like content, and you mentioned, if I heard you right, you said that you were going to become a ref, right?
I am.
I think you should mic that shit up. You need
I
to
thought
pay,
about this.
I'm envisioning literally
A GoPro.
like a YouTube channel. Just pay some kid $10 a game. Wait, hey, I'll split my pay for the game. Just have them have a camera on you the whole time and mic that up, because that would be freaking hilarious.
Oh my God, I'd pay for that.
Okay, so all right, let me walk this through real quick. I've thought about this. I thought about that. I don't want to do it to be about me. I want to do this because we need it. And through that process, then when I do things like this and talk about my passion as a parent, my passion as a sports dad, my passion as a sports fan, my passion for this sport.
Well, I tell you what, we'll do it for you. We will make it a documentary so you don't have to feel pressure.
Forward-facing GoPro.
Yes,
Forward-facing GoPro.
Well,
it's
you
not
got,
even
you
him.
got the kids. There's some issues with images of children. But here's what I say. Get a scatter mic on both sides of the
That'd be so much fun,
parents.
man. I love
You've
it.
got a mic on your headset, and oh my God, that's content. And it's illustrative of how shitty this can be. And you're like, this is what we're talking about.
Thank you, man.
That'd be awesome.
Chris,
No, my
really
pleasure.
appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, we could have gone for about 4 hours as we just started rolling.
Totally
We just scratched the surface,
we
but
could
glad
have
to
totally
help.
kept it going.
Yeah.
Best of luck to your daughter's season coming
Thanks.
up here in the fall. And quick, I would be remiss if I didn't ask, what's our fall season looking like on the ice? What do you expect?
Hey, Rick, before we go, I want to give a shout out to Katie Shields, the women's coach at SLU. I did an interview with her.
Amazing.
I did an interview. If you guys haven't had her on, you did good. I did this interview with her for our team because ECNL, RL, and all this other crap that's out there and the alphabet soup. And I wanted somebody to hear from someone that's actually recruiting and talking about what's important to kids. This interview I did with her is still just amazing. So I want to, if you get a chance to go down to check out the SLU women's team, they got a hell of a thing going on down there. So do that. She amazingly dynamic. She's got an aura about her she's outstanding. On the fall, on the ice, the team's made it real clear. Look, we're a team in transition. We're going to still build from within. We're not going to sign a guy that's going to block a Dalibor Dvorsky from potentially getting a spot. We're not going to sign somebody to a 3-year deal that could, when Jimmy Snuggerud gets here at the end of this year or next year, depending on if he goes deep with Minnesota, that kind of thing. But they said we want to do it while remaining competitive. Now, how you define competitive? They define competitive as putting a good product on the ice that fans can. You're going to win some games, you're going to lose some games, but you're going to be in the hunt and be in the hunt for the playoffs. Right. And then you see where you go when you get there. I think they're poised for that. There's a logjam on defense that has to sort its way out. Did a little bit here potentially with the injury to Krug. There's a couple question marks in terms of what young guys step up in the lineup, but signing Pavel Buchnevich to an extension reaffirms that commitment of staying competitive. And we got the one thing that matters when you need to turn something around, and we got goalies.
Yeah.
How excited are you for Alexander? I mean, he's
Steve?
getting. He's getting his shot. I mean, I think I'm excited as a St. Louis fan to have him in the mix.
Smart player, great guy. I've gotten to know him really well. Love this opportunity for him. He's actually been working the last few years over in Europe with his hometown team there, so it's not like he's coming in totally green. I actually, I had to submit about a week ago my ballot for the St. Louis Blues Hall of Fame. He was number 1 for me.
Nice.
On that, so I think we're going to be in great hands. What I really love about it most is the fact that they put a succession plan in place for me, and you almost never see this in sports.
No.
So I think
they have a plan.
I think it's going to lend to some real consistency down the road here.
Nice.
And be a positive.
Very cool.
Well, there you go, people. We wrapped it up. We locked down Blues hockey, Little City SC, and we fixed CYC and Youth Club Soccer, all in the span of about an hour.
You think they're going to do what we said? Sure.
Probably
The parents?
not. Oh my God, parents, no. There's. I think that bell curve is still going up. I'm waiting for the peak for
Oh, geez,
that
I hope not.
craziness coming
Yeah.
out. So, gentlemen, thanks for joining. Jared, Zach, you guys were wonderful again. Zach, your homework for the next episode, reach out to First Form, give them a full review of your.
That's a good idea.
Your your results.
Yep.
Chris Kerber, thank you for joining us, man.
You got it, guys.
Appreciate your time. Take care, people.